Welcome to the Kawarthas Small Business Podcast, where we believe the Kawarthas can be the most thriving region in Canada for small businesses. I'm Brian Rump from Profit Coach.
And I'm Matt Garrity from Matty G Digital.
And we are recording from the Thrive Podcast Studio at Thrive Co-working Community at 18 Kent Street West in downtown Lindsay, Ontario. And today we don't have a guest, and we are talking about New Year's resolutions. What is your biggest New Year's resolution?
It seems like this is going to be a filler episode, but I suspect it will be much more interesting than people are probably thinking at this point.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I don't actually, we say filler episodes, but I don't know that we've ever created too many real filler ones.
Hot dogs?
Hot dogs?
Ice cream? We did a whole series of summer food.
We had a fan who binged all the episodes and enjoyed those episodes, though.
Who was it?
Matty T.
Matty T. Oh, yeah. That's fair.
I ran into him and he was like, "Oh, I just finished ice cream." It was like kind of weird because seems like a lifetime ago. So please don't do that.
Do you remember? Did I tell you that he had our podcast listed as his most listened to podcast of 2023?
Oh, someone did, because we got that in our Spotify Wrapped.
Oh,
it was a few people, 8 psychos had us in their top 10, I think, and 42 people had us in a top something as well, which I just thought was kind of cool that we just came up.
What do you think
for
it
that
is?
Many people.
Matty T. I bet you it's Eastman, and I bet you Ian.
Ian, yeah.
Ian listens every time.
Yeah, he's gone back. I don't know if he's done the whole archive, but he listens to stuff when he's driving around. So,
I can't think of who else it would be.
But the 42 people, I think it was 42 people, we were in their top 10 podcasts. That's cool to me. The intent of our show, we're not looking for thousands and thousands of listeners, but there's also Apple. I listen on Apple, so I don't even pay attention to Spotify.
Right.
So to have 42 people on Spotify with us in their top podcasts means something.
Yeah, it's cool.
Engagement. We appreciate that. New Year's resolution.
Appreciate
our fans more. Get some more fans. Tell your friends.
I would like to get sponsors for the podcast next year. That is my New Year's resolution for next year, and I think we're definitely closer than we were a year ago. We have very clear, defined benefits of it and costs and packages and everything. That would be really great.
Yes.
That's my New Year's resolution with the podcast. I would also like to start advertising more with the podcast, period. We've talked about I want to do remarketing ads. That's a big one. Some refresh stuff. I want to refresh the website.
Yeah.
Not maybe from a copy perspective.
It's on my
design tweaks. I would like to get the
list.
ads going specifically. I think we can do a lot more with that, generate more listeners, reminding people. We talk about email all the time. You've been paying for email for 2 years.
Yeah, we have a little secret going. Every now and then I need to check it because people keep downloading our marketing checklist, which we don't.
We never even talk about it anymore.
We don't talk about it anymore. Well, I don't love it now. It's I think I would like to refresh it. I think the more I've learned about lead generators and just, the design team we have, I think we could do something better. So
yes.
That's a thing. Podcast resolutions are, cleaning that stuff up a little bit. Really, to me, I think I want as many business owners as possible to just know we exist, because we've done a really good job, I think, of creating content. We're doing what we like in terms of those who are listening and engaging and the feedback that we get, and just not enough. There's thousands of business owners in between Kawartha Lakes, Peterborough, the Kawarthas in general, and they should all at least have a choice to say, no, I don't want to listen to that.
Yeah, and podcasts, it seems silly, but they're still at the beginning of
they're
basically their life. Remember, Les even was like, "Do you listen to podcasts?" I'm like, "Yes, of course I listen to podcasts."
Yeah.
But it made me think, there's people out there that aren't listening to podcasts. I'm like,
Oh,
not that how could that be, but I guess, yeah, how could that be?
so many people, because some are video, because people be like, oh, I don't watch YouTube.
Yeah.
Or they think of podcasts, they think of like watching something. But for us, we're audio only. So, you can listen in the app. And a lot of people are like, well, when do you listen? And when I tell them, oh, I listened in the car, they're like, oh, like that makes sense. And they'll start doing that and be like, oh, I love listening to podcasts in the car, like on a road trip or just, going out for business type stuff. So
yeah, I don't take too many long drives anymore, but anytime I'm driving for like 20 plus minutes, I'll put a podcast on, which is nice. I'll listen to them at night every night, but I listen to them while I'm falling asleep, and it's less than 5 minutes and I'm out. So, and I just find I've tried listening to them while I work. I can't focus. I can't listen to like the podcast and work at the same time.
Oh yeah.
So,
all right. So New Year's resolutions for business or small business owners. Do you think it's a thing that people should do?
Like, what's the definition of a New Year's resolution? Like something you're going to change or something you want to achieve more?
Yeah, I think there's lots of talk always around, oh, here's all the things I'm going to do different. And then by January 10th, you're not doing any of it anymore. So I always hesitate to cram New Year's resolutions in. But at the same time, I think it's a valuable exercise to kind of refresh the year and just think about what are the habits that I want to change.
Yeah, I often think of resolutions as things that I would like to happen next year. And I believe that I can achieve things that I want to happen, and they're not left to fate or the universe. So to me, I like to think like it would be really nice if this is how I approach things next year, or this is how certain things turned out.
Yeah.
So if the resolution thing is kind of funny and people joke about it. I remember somebody one time, like a friend of mine growing up, whose resolution for the new year was to eat more ribs.
Oh, yeah.
I'll never forget that.
Well, that's funny.
I'm like, yeah, that's a great resolution.
Yeah.
But like from business perspective, it is just like planning. It's like putting together, here's like the path that you want to have next year. So
yeah, I think I love the idea of setting an intention. What's your focus? The more and more I learn about business and coaching, and what really works is a lot of it's about focused attention and filtering out things that don't fit that. So to go through, especially this time of year, if you're kind of busy and overworked and you're like, hey, I don't want to be like that anymore, it's a good time to focus on what are the things you want to put your energy into and start making decisions of things you're not going to do.
Where are you going to put your energy next year professionally?
So one of the things I'm thinking about is really, in a way, peeling back my effort and just kind of being for a little bit. So I have some things I've been meaning to get to, and some of those I think I'm just going to not do. And then some I want to put some focused attention into kind of investing in myself, like some writing I want to do for my own content and copy. But I kind of have a lot of irons in the fire and a lot of things that work out when I do my core activities. So my core activity is conversations. So if I'm meeting new business owners or following up on conversations, it's kind of works out that my business grows as a result of that. So to take my own advice and to really focus, it's like, instead of trying to force too many things or have too many new things, I'm kind of like, just get into more conversations and see what happens is kind of more my energy is, and trusting that that's going to work out for me.
How are you going to do that?
Good question. Partly it's the podcast, so we get into conversations with the podcast. It's Monday morning coffee, putting some intention, even of just inviting more people to Monday morning coffee.
Yeah.
I try to do it, but there's times where I'm out and about and, I meet someone and then they walk away. I'm like, oh, I should have invited them to that. So that's a good way to do it. I find sometimes just taking a quiet moment and writing down, okay, who are the people I've talked to in the last month, or who are the people that I haven't talked to?
Yeah.
And then you just reach out and try to book them for a conversation.
We do have a big list, you and I, of like people that we want to have on the podcast too. And we don't always get to them right away. But like Nicole and Chris, who we just recorded with, we had them on that list for months, maybe the whole year. I don't know.
Yeah, they've been kind of on the list for a while. So for me, it's making time for those like lists of people I want to talk to, because I find, we were, I think, joking. I can't remember if we recorded it or not, but the like, maybe you should talk to Brian is a way that
I don't think we were, but
a lot of. I think you're thinking of the maybe we should meet.
Yes,
which is a great line,
yeah.
different context, but same. But a lot of the clients who I've had the most change with and most effect, when you reverse engineer, okay, how did I get to meet them? It starts with like conversations, and then I invest some time to get to know them a bit.
Yeah.
And a lot of it originates with maybe you should talk to Brian, or it's like someone has said maybe this is a Brian problem, or maybe I can provide perspective. So knowing that just is like, I just have to be out and about and have time in my calendar to be able to have those conversations, and they usually lead to more conversations too. So for me, it's focusing on that, and then following up with people.
I love that, because the three things that I have written on my wall right now, one of which is it 52 weeks in a year?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm kind of stupid. 52 weeks in the year, I wanted to have like 52 coffee meetings with business owners. I definitely didn't get there. Probably not even close. But I do love the idea of more intentionally targeting that and getting out. I think it's two things. One of which, small thing, but I went over to Kindred a couple weeks ago to meet with somebody, and I saw 10 other business owners that I knew there. And I shook hands with more than half of them. But I kind of knew, had kind of passed. I spoke to Lindy, who it was like, I didn't know that he remembered me. I had met him.
I see Lindy. Shout out if you're listening, Lindy. We should have Lindy on the show.
Yeah.
Because he goes to Kindred like almost every time I'm there, he's there. And we always like jokingly, it's like awkward like how often we both go there. But we both go because it's a quick walk. It's nice to just get out, stretch your legs.
Yeah. I met him 7 years ago. One time, I want to say, and I've seen him around. I've been to celebrations and all these other things. And he always like smiles and nods, so I thought he was just being polite. I didn't really think that he remembered me, and I said that.
He's always in business development mode. He
I
wants you to call him when you need him.
I said, he's like, oh, I'm sorry I never got to Thrive. Brian invited me to this event that he was doing there, and I honestly was like, I didn't know that you knew who I was. And it was just nice to be able to go out and like see people, meet people, like to be in the community.
Yeah.
It's a bit of marketing for you.
Oh, it is.
So I think that would be interesting. And then I just love the idea of having those conversations with other business owners. And I've done it a small handful of times where I've very cold invited people to coffees. And I swear it's my intention to talk about marketing, but I do it in like a sneaky way. I don't know. You can
sneaky's the wrong word. I
will never bring it up.
Yeah.
I did it twice. So the one I had conversation with, I'm not going to say their name for no real reason right now, but then another one I had too. In both cases, I did not bring up marketing. They brought it up. It was Paul Riley was the first one, who I wasn't even ready for it. And like now since I've done it a bunch more, I realize, okay, I need to be a bit more prepared. Where I very innocently, if you will, invited him for coffee. And then he immediately started talking to me about marketing.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this right now. And that Paul Riley one was great because that was probably working with you at Profit Coach and coming up with like, let's go meet more business owners.
Yeah.
I'm good in a room. I'm good talking to people. I think I'm great at networking because I will not bring marketing up. I will not be the cheesy salesman. I will not force that. I see people do it. It grosses me out. I think it's cringe. I've had other people kind of like elbow me in the shoulder type of thing about saying it to other people. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's just not who I am.
Yeah.
It can come up naturally, and I think like I'm good at networking because I will go and do an event and just talk to people.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So that's what the plan was. And I remember opening up the Advocate, and Paul's face, full page was there, and I was like, I got to meet this guy.
Yeah.
And I reached out to him on LinkedIn. And it was the first person I reached out to. I was like, hey, you want to go for coffee? And he got back to me very quickly. He was like, yes. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he ambushed me, but I wasn't really prepared other than I was going to talk and hang out and have a coffee. And he was like all over me about marketing stuff. And we've built like a great relationship since. And we've done some networking work together. He's given me work. I've given him work, actually. Not for me or anything personally, but I've helped a couple different women specifically go talk to Paul about the services and everything. So like that's been a good relationship, and that was just because I was actioning something.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's like, for me, it's like that trust of knowing it just always works out. And like even if you set the goal of 52 a year, but every time you just send out 10 requests and 5 people say yes, something good comes from it all the time. So it's trusting that process. So for me, the first part of the year anyway, is like not about sprinting and being like, hey, I must do this, this, and this, but it's like get into some conversations, because like I have more and more complete trust and confidence in myself and what I know I can do as a business coach when I'm working with people to achieve their goals. And it's not something you could just force on people, because some people are hunting for a coach,
sure,
or they're hunting for a certain type, but a lot of times you have to invest in that early conversation to just develop the trust in people to give you money in exchange for them making more future money.
Yeah. I thought my resolution was going to be around the idea that in the past, and I think this past year specifically, or the past couple of years, my plan has never been to work with every business owner. My plan is not for everybody to know me. My plan was anyone that searches for anything marketing related in Kawartha Lakes sees my name. I've done that for sure. This year, I want people to hesitate when they are going to work with somebody else.
I love that. That's like a great, even just the concept of a resolution. Usually we think of, I'm going to do this different, or I want this many of this thing, or we set these big, weird goals. But that one of like, I want them to hesitate when they go to work with someone else is one of those cool resolutions or cool goals where a lot goes into that, but it's just a nice way to define it.
Yeah, and I'm going to do video marketing this year.
You love video marketing and love being on camera.
I love video. Video is supposedly pretty cool. All around what you've been telling me for years too, of like, you need to tell people what it's like to work with you, or in my case, me. And we've bounced this idea around a little bit, and I've like stopped it a few times with case studies and reviews and these things. But we're going to do a shoot with as many of willing participants as possible, of one at a time type of thing. Me at the table in front of Thrive talking to Ian and we're going to record. It's not going to be like just a video, but like the idea will be like, let's get people like Ian in there for an hour. We're going to sit down and talk to him and have coffee with him, have a drink with him or whatever, and we're asked those questions after a while, and then like kind of piece that together from there.
Do you think I could get a video edit reel of the bloopers from that conversation? Because I think that would be way more entertaining.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Because like also my concern is not Ian, but Ian.
Yeah, Ian's a big concern.
Ian's a big concern because like he's uncomfortable to begin with, and he'll be even more uncomfortable on camera. So my hope is that we sit down and we record the whole thing, but it's not like we're not forcing it. We're not scripting anything. I'm just gonna talk and like not warm them up intentionally, but like let's just talk and go from there.
I thought you had a clause in your contract that you can't speak directly to Ian. So does this have, or Ian can't speak directly to you? Does this mean that you have to rearrange your contract for this shoot?
Yes, I've asked Ian for more money.
Okay.
So that's the new clause.
Okay.
That's the talk to Matt clause.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm very excited about that because I think there's a lot that we can do with that, and the idea of like, what was it like working with me? What was it like before me? What's it like working with me? And unscripted, hopefully comfortable, very casual, and start to roll those out throughout the year. And I think that will be a big part of it. Plus all the other marketing stuff that we're already doing, owning in on that and stuff too. So.
Yeah, that's I really like that. It suits with what I need to do. Well, not necessarily better, but have some content around, because we don't know what it's like to work with people, and that's such of our biggest barrier as business owners is almost every business owner thinks what they're doing is wrong, or they just think almost everyone's going to kind of pick apart what they've been doing, or they're kind of embarrassed by their marketing, or with coaching they're just so afraid. But when you know what it's like to work with someone where it's not scary, you're not afraid, you're not, going through things that don't make any sense. It just makes you more comfortable to be like, yes, I do want to work with that person. Especially you've really pivoted your business to be like the fractional, chief marketing officer, where you're not just the transactional agency where it's like, hey, I need this, give me this one project, which is what everyone's used to, or they don't really get or understand all that's going on. So to have some just better marketing that helps people understand that.
Absolutely. And did you see the LinkedIn post I sent you on the weekend?
I don't think so.
That's fine. You should look at it. I was very excited about it. I swore a lot in the message because they literally summarized it, not exactly how I would, but it was like, this is what I am trying to get at. And I've run into it a couple times this year, and it's always by an organizational person that comes in. It's like, hey, tell me everything that you're doing and give me the hours that you're working on, and then let me tell you how to do the marketing. And what we're going to focus more on in general is from this post, where we are not marketing operations company. We are marketing managers. We are not there to take tasks, and we're not there to listen to what you have to say and then action that. We're not there to be, this can sound aggressive, and I don't mean it as aggressively, but like, we're not puppets. We're not the people
You're not the assistant,
no.
Right? Like I've said clearly to people before, if they want to phone you because they need, hey, Matt, do a post for me on this afternoon, that's not what you do. That's what Fiverr's for,
yes.
Right? Like, find someone on Fiverr, pay them inexpensive. They'll just do whatever random thing you want done. But, my hot take and mean take, maybe that's not mean, but like, that's not marketing.
No.
Marketing needs to be an intentionally planned out strategy.
And they talked about in this post the things I had said too, my whole theory of why people blame marketing on stuff. It's because an owner or a team come in and they say, this is how you're supposed to do marketing. and the marketing operations person listens and just follows that.
Yeah.
And of course, there's no plan, there's no structure, there's no path. It fails, and then the team and the owner blame marketing.
Oh, yeah.
And this post was amazing. Just the idea of now being able to separate it. And yes, I'm going to talk about it in my marketing. And yes, I'm going to talk about it within my sales presentations as well. And I'm going to be way more clear about things. And I think that's a big resolution also. The way I'm thinking of things, like I'm not concerned about money. That's not true at all. But you're not going to make more money by putting a dollar figure on the number. You need to find things and tasks and actionable ways to get more money and revenue. And I think that's around me being, I don't think it's more selective, because I've learned over the couple of years, like, the business will still find you. People will still find you.
Oh, it's focused and specific. It's like when you are clearly the guide for the problem that you are solving. And marketers are, in a way, the worst for this, because everyone's either a traditional marketing agency or a non-traditional marketing agency, and most businesses don't know what a traditional agency, they don't know it, right? And especially local small businesses, what I find is they'll go to the marketer to say, like, hey, I would like a website. And what they think they're getting is someone who's going to teach them what they need to have on their website, which is part of your process. But for most others, it's like, oh, what do you want on it? Like, I'll build whatever you want. And the owner's like, well, I don't know about websites, but I think you do. And they end up doing this back and forth where you create something that doesn't actually fit with what you're doing. And then you expand that in these agencies to, like, they'll do email, they'll do they'll do all of these things, but it's all very piecework and transactional, and ends up being random, because they'll be like, oh, send me what you want, and it was like, oh, I don't know, just make it up. So you have like a graphic designer writing ads who's like, I don't know what to do. They'll just like look at something else, and you just get this mess of inconsistent activities that you think is marketing, but it's not really marketing. So you need someone like you to actually explain, here's what we're doing and how I fit. If you want the guy from Fiverr, go to Fiverr and get that.
Yeah, and I'm not a website agency. We don't do 100 websites, hundreds of websites a year. We probably do 24, I want to say. And it sounds like I'm making this up, but I don't think I've ever gotten myself in trouble with a website, meaning I've never dealt with much pushback at all. It's always been, I've been like fortunate, lucky, I don't know what the word is, but again, like working for other agencies, and it was chaos, the feedback you'd get, and the pushback, and the loss of control, frankly. And I don't think any of that has been because of anything other than expectations and not communication, because that's like somewhat of a ridiculous, broad cliche. But just the idea of, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
There's a process and there's a meaning behind it. And I don't say this, but if you're expressing that you have a plan, people aren't going to give you as much pushback.
Yeah.
I don't say I don't want to hear from you, but honestly though, of those like 24 websites we did this year, 20 of them or more, the people didn't see the website until it was ready to launch.
Yeah.
And we've never had pushback. I can think of one, and that was like a bad situation, period, this year. But otherwise, of like those 24 that we did, again, it's not hundreds, but we didn't have like any issues.
Yeah.
We had no pushback, not many changes at all to stuff, which is of course really positive, and that's because of expectation and making sure people knew what we're doing and why.
Yeah, and I think that now that you're clear and confident on that, it's finding more people who get that, and they hesitate when they go to someone else. So it's like, oh, do I go with the person with the plan and the process and they're going to help me with that stuff? Or do I go to the person who's going to maybe seem like a cool person, but they're just waiting for me to, put together all the elements that I want, and I don't actually know what should be on a website or not.
It's wild the amount of conversation and input web designers take from other people. And it's always so geared around like, what is it that you like, client? What do you aesthetically like in those things? And to me, it's not what we need. We don't need to have that person's opinion, really. We need to know, like, are they going to be happy? Like, are they be comfortable putting that out there? But frankly, like, I don't need to know if you like the color blue or you want textured patterns on your website. I don't need to know any of that. I need to know, like, what's the business? What are we trying to do here? Do you want phone calls or do you want forms?
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah, and that's the, I'll always get on my story brand soapbox, but it's about designing a website to sell or get an action. So it's not about your personal preference. And a lot of people starting a business, sometimes, launching the website is what you see as that success. So it can be very personal, and people get visions in their head of what they want, and it can become a big design project and make all your dreams come true, but then it doesn't even work at all. Whereas someone with a plan of like, do we want phone calls? Let's build a website that just gets more phone calls without way overthinking it.
Yeah. I think this year will be fun in that way of established, feeling comfortable as the expert, and now continuing to reinforce that, but then now telling other people that can benefit from this what it's like to work with me.
Yeah.
And not to say that kind of completes the cycle, but I think that would very much kind of complete the cycle of what we would want anybody to know, like anyone that I was working with to kind of do and achieve.
Yeah.
There's so many people that we talk about them and personally or talk about them on a podcast where they've never done any marketing, they start their business and they're like, well, this is the type of client that I want and I will not accept anything else. And I don't think you can jump into that. There's no way that you can figure that out right away. And I think it takes time, and I think I've spent a ton of time thinking about that and focusing on that. I really think that like we're kind of at the last stage and cycle of that, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any other New Year's resolutions for you? Gonna eat more ribs?
Personal ones?
Less ribs?
I would like to eat more protein, yeah. I would like to eat more vegetables if we're thinking about that. I do a good job of eating like pretty balanced. Well, I eat a lot of protein.
I think Kansas would like to hear that. I have a suggestion for you.
Okay.
Do you have an air fryer?
Yes.
Buy a bag of vegetables, just stick it in the air fryer, and then dump it in one of your big containers, and you'll have like more vegetables. The vegetables I eat, I stir fry them, but I just put them in frozen, and I just cook them until they've kind of burnt a bit and caramelized.
Yeah.
And they're just so good every time, and it's almost zero effort, and I just make a big batch, and they last a couple days.
The star of that dinner the other night at the Cat and Fiddle, it was a prime rib dinner. It was great. The best thing was the vegetables on that plate.
Yeah, they were so good. That's why I ordered it, actually.
I wanted to ask you, like, how did they do that?
They're just steamed vegetables.
They were perfectly cooked, though.
Yeah.
And, like, perfectly seasoned. There's nothing really on them. It didn't, but they just tasted so good. And I love vegetables like that, where they're cooked, but they're still crispy and hard. My wife does not like them that way. So, like, I think we're always eating, like, overcooked, soggy vegetables. And I don't like that. But even the Thai I just ate from Thai by Joe.
That's why I like
beautiful
oven roasted, because it'll, or the air fryer, like high heat, it'll, like, thaw them, steam them a bit, maybe give them a bit of crunch or browning if you like that, without making them, like, soggy and, like, overcooked to death.
How long do you cook them for?
I haven't used the air fryer, so Yeah, it's really like for me, if I'm doing them in the oven, it's
Yeah.
until they look like how I like them. But in the frying pan, for me, once they kind of melt, as soon as the pan starts burning a little bit, they're basically done. I just caramelize them a little bit, and then they're the perfect texture.
I steamed broccoli a couple weeks ago and it didn't work. I cooked them for ages and they were rock hard.
Oh, really? Yeah. Sometimes it just depends.
It was weird, but yeah, maybe more vegetables.
More vegetables. I like how we're not like the typical hustle bros of like, I'm going to do all these different things differently.
No, I know I want to do my own marketing differently. Not differently, but I want to focus on certain things. And I did cross my mind about like being a bit of a content factory on the weekend, like pumping out blogs, found even more, and like be more obnoxious about that. But then some video stuff, talking more about like what it's like to work with me, kind of completing that cycle.
Yeah. I think you've done a really good job of awareness, which you've talked about.
Yeah.
And I think awareness and then helping people understand what it's like to work with you. Because really marketing and like content is about, awareness, understanding, and then calling people to action.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really love the idea of you just cranking out blogs. I think that'll get more awareness, but the people you work with most aren't reading all of those blogs necessarily. And you're already doing a good job getting found. I think the logical next step is just that people know who you are. They see your ads, but they don't understand what it's like to work with you. They would make assumptions based on, bearded guy standing in a field, business leader of the year, but do they really understand and know what it's like? And if you just focus on that problem, you probably don't need to focus on the blogs. Is sort of like, what do you know, right? Or like convincing people of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think they already would have a positive impression of you.
It's a good point. And the big thing now is everybody knows what marketing is. They want marketing or they don't want marketing. Talk to 10 different marketers. They're going to give you 10 different answers. I think what's important is just what it's like to talk to me.
Yeah.
Be around me.
Are you a good fit?
Yeah.
If yes,
yeah.
do business with Matt. If not, find someone else. It's like,
yeah.
You can only work with so many people.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to be the only marketer everyone goes to, and you don't want to be that. So just the more you can be yourself, the people will find you that you want to work with, and they want to work with you.
Yeah. We were recording this 2 weeks before air, which will be January 2nd. Do you think I will still be the reigning business leader of the year?
Yes.
You don't think they're going to announce something in the next 2 weeks?
Well, they won't announce a winner
Ooh.
because they might, if anything, they might announce when they give those out. But what's crazy about that is you will have received it in 2022, all of 2023 into 2024. So that's over a 3-year period. You were business leader of the year.
Do you think that they're not announcing the winner because they're renaming the award after me?
I don't know about that. Do you think it's possible that you were the only one who applied for it?
Do you think I am the only logical choice? So then maybe they have some rule where they can't award it twice.
How many times did you nominate yourself for this one?
Hundreds.
This year?
This year, none actually.
Oh.
I thought about it, and then the deadline kept going. I was like,
I almost did a nomination for you with like a complete argument as to why you deserved it 2 years in a row, but then I have a long history with the Lindsay and District Chamber of Commerce awards, so I am not going to mess with that karma or drama again.
I feel like that's a whole new episode.
That is a whole new episode. Enough time has passed. I will sneak in the last minute bomb, which is that a former executive director, who I will not name, actually ripped up several of my nominations because they were for people that they did not like. And that's, in the past and from a time where those things happened more. And I will be clear, I don't believe that happens anymore.
I know that story. I just can't remember who it was. Not that I would say their name, but I can't remember who it was. That's fun. That's juicy. Maybe we'll talk about that more in 2024.
Yeah, just dropping my stories of that, and I just think it's a good, funny story, and I know, 100% it is very true.
Yeah,
of a thing, and it's complete childishness.
Maybe you'll be the business leader of the year next year. Not after this.
Yeah, not after this. No, I don't think that would be a thing that I want to do.
The Innovation Award, maybe?
Maybe. I'm the most innovative person. All right, we're going to stop this episode before I have too much fun with this. I think this has been good. Some good resolutions for us. Any final thoughts?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Don't go too crazy on your resolutions. Pick some focused intentions. And if you want to be on the podcast, we are actively looking for sponsors to grow our listenership, to grow the conversations we have, and we would love to have you on. You can find us at Set It Up at Kawarthas Small Business Podcasts.ca.